Right now, we'd like to have a few of Sorina's colleagues and friends, some of whom are joining us remotely, say a few words. The first one would be Liz Brower. Are you there, Liz? Liz? Yes, but I can't unmute myself.
Is Liz here?
She's having trouble.
Maybe
Yeah. Liz, are you still there? Looking for you. Here you are.
Okay.
There we are. Okay. Yeah,
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Liz Brower, and I was Serina's first PhD student during her time at the Boyce Thompson Institute. I was lucky enough to have her as a mentor and to have her support in exploring a wide range of approaches that laid the foundation for my career. I very much appreciate and owe this to her. Sorina was unceasingly enthusiastic about research. She was someone who could make a mess of dots connected by lines seem not only exciting, but worth investing your time and energy into understanding. And as a researcher, her work on mapping protein-protein interaction networks was particularly impactful and revealed the extent of functional redundancy between families of protein kinases. Her genetic work revealed the insights into diverse areas of plant immunity, including shared pathways between salt stress and defense, receptor transport, and redox regulation of systemic immunity. But in the midst of all this hard work, Sorina was incredibly kind. She would spend time wherever possible to discuss things with her students, research or otherwise. And I remember her smile and her constantly moving brown hair during these discussions. And I learned so much from these talks and just had so much fun delving into biological unknowns with her. And I will truly miss our talks together. Sorina was generous. She invited her lab members to her home for Thanksgiving, for summer barbecues. We had many lovely gatherings with her family, who she adored. And as I've started my own lab and mentoring my own first graduate students, I try my best to emulate the kindness that she showed to us and to everyone around her. And also the fearlessness and the work ethic that she had in tackling complicated problems. But most importantly, the fun that she had in doing all of this and sharing it with the people around her. One of the things that Sorina taught me was that individual genes typically have a very small and insignificant impact on an organism overall. But seeing the people gathered here today and people's memory of Sorina online makes it clear to me that she was a hub and that her impact on her family, on her friends and her colleagues, and her field was significant. And I will miss her. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Beautiful. The next speaker we have is Dinesh Kumar.
Hear me? Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dinesh Kumar. I'm currently a professor at UC Davis, actually. Sorina was a postdoc um, in my group and Mike Snyder's group as a giant postdoc, actually. So when I still remember when she wrote to me. She was a student at Nilgan Tumar's lab in Rutgers, actually, and I know Nilgan very well. And when Sorina came to the lab, uh, we told her that the task is to make 1,500 proteins using a plant expression system and then print them on the microarray and show that they are active actually. And Mike's lab at the time just published protein microarrays using yeast actually. So it was very new and Serena was very fearless. I still remember talking to her and she was very diligent researcher. She said, yeah, no problem, we can do it actually. Within a year and a half, not only she optimized cloning of all these, so I'm talking this is in 1995, 96. It's a long time ago actually. So then she was successfully able to make all those proteins in the plant expression system and then print and show that the plant expressed proteins are more active than making it in the yeast actually. And she published a very nice paper in PNAS demonstrating that the first protein microarray from higher organisms like plants actually. So after she did that, then she was very keen on continuing this technology. So she then went on to make 5,000 proteins later, actually. And then she published a very nice paper in Genes and Development, mapping basically substrates of all MAP kinase from Arabidopsis, actually. So even today, actually, in fact, 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a seminar speaker at UC Davis, said, oh, we still use that data set to identify and follow up on substrates of MAP kinase that we published together with Sorina from Mike's lab and my lab, actually. So this briefly illustrates Sorina as a person and a researcher who was uh, not afraid of taking on challenges and continuing through actually. And in fact, those two papers, what led to the future of protein microarrays, at least in the plant system actually. And then Serena, of course, continued on her legacy in this area in her own lab, and she has published very interesting papers in different areas. In addition, she also made a tomato protein kinase arrays later on, actually, that was used by many people, actually. So I was actually very heartbroken when I heard late December from a colleague of mine at UC Davis that, do you know Serena passed away, actually? So I actually didn't know until that time. And uh, it was very sad to hear the news, I think. But in any case, since we are celebrating here, I think Serena's scientific legacy will be continued on actually, and she was a great person. She will be greatly missed by the scientific community and also her friends and colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sitara Meja.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I am Setare. I was Sorina's PhD student for almost 5 years. And Sorina wasn't not just only my advisor, but we were friends even after I graduated. We called each other. I text her whenever I had even personal problem. I called her. And it was pretty much very sad for me to hear that he passed away. For me, Sorina was not only an accomplished scholar and scientist, but also a kind, compassionate, and inspiring human being. She was a role model for me, and her passing has left a deep sense of loss and sadness in my heart. Uh, I even had a dream of her 2 times. She always had that parties that even the other PhD student mentioned. So I saw her in my dream, and I saw she was sitting at the table. We were eating those barbecue, and I told her, Serena, you didn't pass away. I was so happy. And she told me, oh no, I just was very busy. I had to say that. So yeah, it's just that much I'm thinking about her still. So I see her in my dream and she's alive. One memory that stands out for me is the lab parties that she organized. I remember how she would go out of her way to make everyone feel welcome and included. She would make sure that there was plenty of food and drinks, and she would encourage us to have fun and connect with each other. She had like a small garden. She loved planting vegetables. When we wanted to leave, she loaded us with vegetables, and she had lots of mint in her yard. She always brought that for us. It was so much fun and her generosity. But what I will miss the most is are the one-on-one conversation that I had with her. Serena had a gift for listening, for empathizing, and for offering wise advice. She would always make time for me, no matter how busy she was, and she would never judge me. We had lots of like those personal stuff. We talked to each other, say, don't tell anybody what this happened, or don't tell anybody. A very close friend of mine after being my mentor. And now that Serena is gone, I'm left with a sense of emptiness and sorrow, but I must also remember the legacy that she left behind. She inspired me to pursue my dreams, to think boldly, and to work tirelessly. She taught me to be kind, humble, and curious. She showed me that science can be a force for good in the world, and that I have a responsibility to use my knowledge and skills to make a positive difference. Um, I sent her several emails even after he passed away because I was so upset. And then I just kept writing her email just to share my feeling with her. I know she was passed away, but and here, even I want to say to my dear advisor, Serena, I say thank you. Thank you for being my mentor, my friend, and my guide. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your passion, and your joy with me. I will miss you dearly, but I will carry your memory with me always, and I will continue to honor your legacy in everything that I do. Rest in peace, Serena. Thank you.
Thank you, Sitar. Our next speaker is Kathy Hudak.
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Kathy Hudak, and I am a professor of biology at York University in Toronto, Canada. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words about Sorina today. I met Sorina perhaps about 25 years ago. We were both grad students. Well, no, wait, I was a postdoc. Sorina was a PhD grad student at Rutgers University, and we shared the same lab space. And I remember that Sorina was a quiet and hardworking person. She was very serious. She was goal-oriented, and she had a calming effect on everyone in the lab. She was exceptionally kind and generous with her knowledge. And even in the early days, you could tell that she was there for a purpose. She was serious about her research, about her science. She carefully designed her research experiments. hers were the data that everybody could trust. And in hindsight now, you can see those qualities of Sorina that made her an exceptional scientist. Even after I left Rutgers and I took this position at York University, I had the task of designing an undergraduate lab course. So what did I do? I emailed Sorina. I said, I need your help with designing this 2-hybrid yeast assay. And so there she was, emailing me with the guidance that I needed. That's just a small example of the generosity of Sorina when it came to sharing her knowledge with everyone around her. Those of you here today who have been lucky enough to call Sorina your mentor, I remember her in the early days. She had a rotation student that she was guiding. And the two of them, I would look across the lab and I would see Sorina, the graduate student, with her head down, quietly discussing with the young student, and the young student quietly listening. And I remember thinking at that time, he has 100% of her attention. And I imagine that same thing with all of the students that Sorina has ever mentored. You have that exceptional guidance. So perhaps the best way I can think of to honor Sorina's legacy is for you who have been lucky enough to be mentored in this manner to take on that same kind of Sorina attitude, where regardless of whatever endeavor or career you choose, make sure that you take the attention and the care with anyone around you to guide them as best as you can, because that is exactly what Sorina would have done too. Thank you.
You. Our next speaker is Tessa Birch-Smith.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, Tessa?
Hello,
Yes,
can you
you're
hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon rather. I met Sorina many years ago when I was a graduate student in the Dinesh Kumar lab, and Sorina joined us as a postdoc. And what was most interesting is that Sorina was a very quiet individual before you got to know her very well. But our lab was notoriously boisterous. And so Sorina stood out in the lab, first of all, for her quiet, calm demeanor, while the rest of us were always energetic and making noise and letting our frustrations be known loudly. So Sorina was just a remarkable colleague to have. Every time she presented at lab meeting, I remember going into the meetings with a sense of envy and maybe even anger, because Sorina was a model lab member. Her work was always meticulously done. Her presentations were works of art. She made the most beautiful slides that I still today think about and hope to emulate in my own work. But for me, what Sorina modeled best is how to be a wonderful scientist, a fantastic mother, an outstanding human being. It was in Dinesh's lab where Sorina was pregnant with her son, and she gave birth, and she did a remarkable job. Looking back on it now, she modeled how to strive for work-life balance. And I think that stands out with me because later on in my own career, I have faced some of the same challenges that Sorina would have had. And she made it look so easy. She always moved through every challenge she faced with such grace and poise and such remarkable strength. And that is what I remember Sorina for, just her ability to cope and rise above challenges and make the best of what she faced. And I wish that I approach challenges in the same way that she does. So, our community has lost a wonderful colleague, a phenomenal scientist. And for me, in later years, Sorina and I became friends and collaborators. And I will certainly miss her from here on out. And again, she was just a fantastic model for being a scientist slash wife mother. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone that is online at this point that would like to make an additional statement or a statement? Not, I would like to just open the floor. If anyone here has anything that they'd like to say, you're welcome to say it. If not, that is fine as well.
I think Tim has raised his hand there. Oh, sorry.
Hi,
Tim
Liz.
Westlake. Hi. Tim Westlake looks like he's raised his hand. Can you unmute yourself, Tim?
Yeah. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was Serina's second graduate student. When I first went to Cornell for my interviews, Serina actually was not there. She was one of the persons that I wanted to talk to, but she was out of the state. A month later, she sends me an email whether I would like to visit. And I did visit during my spring break. My friends had a plan to go to Virginia Beach. And we went to Virginia Beach, but I had tricked my friends to drive all the way up to New York from Virginia to spend our holiday so I could meet Serina firsthand. And this is the suit I first wore when I met Serina, not the tie. Unfortunately, I've grown wider, so it does not fit me properly, but I still have that. And when I first met her, she was so kind. It was, I'm glad I spent my spring break at school, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Uh, she was a remarkable person. Like everyone said, she treated her lab members like family. I considered her a second mother. Um, I still have this plant. It's a spider plant. Um, I bought it. I bought it for her and myself in 2011 March because both our birthdays were in March. And this evergreen will survive for as long as I live. Um, it was less than a year, Serina, in her lab, and it was a remarkable experience. And having this plant, and I propagated it, so I have a backup plant. I have always taken care of it for, my goodness, I think over a decade now. Uh, yeah, she meant the world to me. The biggest mystery that she solved in our lab was we were running a gel, a PCR, and the water in the gel in the bath for the PCR when we're running the gel was swaying. And we did not know why the gel was moving. Everything was perfectly level. Nothing would be different. And I remember when Sorina ran in and said we had an earthquake. I didn't feel it, but the mystery was solved. That in upstate New York, in the middle of nowhere, that we had a minor earthquake, I think coming from Canada, that interfered with a simple PCR. And Sorina came in and told us all about it. I remember her more as a mother than a researcher. She was always there for me, always there for us. I she had a way of communicating and really investing herself in her project. And that is the type of person to take in essentially laboratory members and treat them as family. That's the type of person that is the golden standard in academic community. And I can propagate this plant for anyone who wants a copy. And if any of you all want another plant that Sorina and I shared, yeah, I know she will forever be missed. And I wish I'd taken more time to visit her, but I'm glad she's in peace now. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Let's see. I'm going to have Dr. Angus-Dahl.
Right. My name is Angus Dahl. I'm department head here of Biological Sciences, and I've got to know Sorina over the last few years since we moved here. Our sons are the same age, and so I watched our son Jeremy and Nick grow up together. They've been best friends and roommates over at the Mississippi School for Science and Math now for the last 2 years. And even though they're teenage boys, they still get along. So I think that speaks a lot to Sorina's calming effect as a mother to have a boy that's similarly mellow. But I think it's interesting hearing from students because one of the ways in which I interacted with Sorina here is on serving on graduate student committees with her and watching how she interacted with her students. And she had what I can only describe as this ferocious determination for student success. And I expect sometimes being on the student end of that was probably a little intimidating maybe, but she always had her students' best interest at heart. I never went to a committee meeting, whether it was one of my students when I'm supposed to be the expert or one of hers, where I didn't learn something from Sorina, from what she contributed to managing the student, to contributing to the science, whatever it was. She's a wonderful mentor to her students and to others, and she's going to be really missed in the broader department, obviously, but also across campus in other ways in which she interacted with people here. So it's really a big loss for MSU as a whole and her whole scientific community. Thanks.
Thank you, Angus. See, I believe there were some others online that wanted to say something. Liz?
Yeah, sorry. So maybe there's 4 people here with their hands up. So maybe Gizem, could you go first? Gizem, sorry.
Okay.
Gizem?
You just have to press unmute at the bottom of the screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Hi everyone, I am Gizem. I was Sorina's first PhD student at MSU. So I remember she was so kind, thoughtful, and an excellent advisor. So I remember going to her office and asking questions, and I remember she would always answer with smile. And I feel privileged to be her student actually. And oh, it's hard to say. So outside of work, she would invite us to her home for dinner, Thanksgivings, and she would always have time for us. And I have so many good memories with her, and she will be missed, and I will always remember her. Thank you.
Thank you, Gizem. Let's see, the next might be Mike Schneider.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. I'm Mike Snyder. I'm chair of the genetics department at Stanford. As you heard earlier, Sorina was a joint postdoc with Dinesh and I. And my impression of Sorina was that she was a superwoman. She was a superwoman in the lab. She cloned this amazing number of proteins when we absolutely had no idea how to do this or whether it would be successful, and made these protein chips. And they impacted everyone in the lab and everyone in the entire plant community. And it was just, I doubt that anyone else could have pulled that project off, quite frankly, besides Sorina. It was just incredible. I think she was superwoman as a parent. She had kids along the way and never stopped, yet managed to raise some amazing kids. I saw them very early on before they're still incubating, so to speak. But from everything I've heard, they've come out quite well. And I think she was superwoman as a friend and a mentor. I think she just was a rock that would really help everyone. She's probably the busiest person I knew, but at the same time, always had time to help out others. And it's amazing how she could do it all. She really was an incredible person. And I'm glad that she did have such an impact on so many people. She sure did on me. And you know, glad that and hope that her legacy will live on in many different ways. So again, it was a real pleasure to get to know her.
Thank you, Mike. Now let's see, Mihaela and Sophie.
Hello, everybody. I hope you are. I'm here. I'm coming from Romania. I am in the first place, a former colleague of Sorina. I am a professor in Transylvania, in Sibiu, in the University Lucian Blaga, Sibiu, and I was really, really happy to have Sorina as a colleague, as a friend, also during my student period in Bucharest. We even shared the same room in the student hostel. And I'm so glad to see all the PhD students she has got, because I have to tell you and share with you that she was really, really cheerful, brilliant, intelligent, and also very, very positive. All the time she was really, really positive person. So I am somehow very proud for her achievements in her life, also in America, also in her family. I had, let's say, being here in Romania, I was also close to her family, and I am somehow very down because of this moment. And I have to share with her family my deepest condolences once again. And for many years, I am working also not as such a high level like Sorina, but I'm tackling a bit the cell life. And I realized that the life for us is such a gift, and I want to share with you, Sorina was a gift for all of us. God have her in the heaven. Thank you.
Thank you. Sargis?
Oh, I'm Sargis, a postdoc at Duke University, and we had a collaborative project with Sorina. We met through my PI, Xinyan Dong, and I remember she had this, Sorina had these ideas about the regulation of plant immunity by the redox, which is what I'm interested in. So we ended up writing a collaborative grant where I actually had my first experience as having a sort of independent position as a co-PI on the grant, and got approved, and we started the project. And I remember we would have these periodic meetings where we could discuss what to do, how to do, and yeah, she had this. Always she had a plan and what to do, and an important thing was that I always had my doubts about being a scientist, and she was always very encouraging, and she was a very important mentor about giving an advice and how to move forward, how to look at the things. Yeah, she would always be very supportive, and people who knew her know that it was one of her defining characteristics. And yeah, she would be very dearly missed, and I hope she's in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Sargis. The next would be Walthekar Alomahana.
Hey everyone. Hello.
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I'm Mohanna. Dr. Sorina always call me Mohanna because my name is a little bit it's hard to pronounce it, my name. I was a PhD student in her lab. Actually, in that time, I had to finish my PhD less than 3 years, so I had citrus in that time, so I always feel citrus in that time. And Dr. Sorry always it has a positive energy and make everything is easier for me, and always beside and support me in my PhD. And also I felt she is one member of my family. It looked like my sister or my mother. So when I heard that tragic news about Sorina, I felt I lost one of my sister or my mother. I felt sorry for that. Until now, I didn't believe that is happened because it's hard. Really, it's hard. We went, and that time we were as family in her lab. So when we met not as only teacher. We met as family in a group meeting. So until now, I didn't believe she left. It's really it's hard for us. I mean, sometimes if one scenario is when you lost it, you cannot imagine you lost it. You always feel it's near you. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to? Yeah, come on up.
Hey everyone, my name is Philip. I was also a PhD student in Sorina's lab. I must say for me, it's still, she had such a big impact during my PhD. It still feels a bit surreal to me that she's gone. She was really an amazing advisor, not just in the scientific sense, but in general, you could go there and feel any way you wanted, and she'd always make you feel better. I feel a lot of people said she was a calm person, but I feel she was always an excited person. She was always excited about solving this next riddle. Why does the data behave in a certain way? That excitement, I think, has really gone over onto me, and I'm really happy I could have her as an advisor. I know I was to a conference recently where they gave young scientists advice in their future career. And some of the advice that I heard was, don't choose a school, choose an advisor. And I can really feel at the end of this how important that is. Sorina and George has really been the best advisors during my PhD I could ever have asked for. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
So, hi, my name is Norbert Buckrush. I was Serina's first master's student here at Mississippi State. Yeah, it's a beard. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of stuff has been said here today, and I think everyone's in agreement that Sorina was very inspiring. She was an excellent PI, an excellent person to her friends, her family, her students like me. And I'm going to keep this brief, otherwise I'll monologue. I really appreciate the short amount of time I got to spend with Sorina and everything she taught me, both in the lab and in her home. Take with me for as long as I can remember her, which hopefully Alzheimer's and dementia doesn't run in my family, so the rest of my life. Thank you. And, that's it.
Anyone else on, yeah, there was, anyone else online or here in person?
I think Miao Ying has also got her hand up there. Miao Ying, are you able to unmute yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe not.
Okay, hi, everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I'm Miao Ying. I come from University of Hawaii. So I met Sorina when I was a postdoc at Boyce Thompson Institute. So at that time, she was a fresh assistant professor, just started over there. So we had a lot of interaction because we are working on a collaborative project. So Sorina, I remember her as very generous and a very warm-hearted person. And so she's always like, spend time to discuss with us. And also she always, whenever we have need, so she always willing to share her experience, like, how to apply for academia job, all those stuff. So I remember I went to her office like multiple times, talk with her. So back then I didn't know, like, being assistant professor, the time is how much valuable to her. And until I became assistant professor, but she never complained. She always like, and welcomed me very warmly, opened, her door and let me in. And so we kind of, always have had a very good discussion. So yeah, everybody, I heard, talk about, Sorina is quite a person, but I always remember her as the kind of most energetic person I ever know. So, she was tall, and so, she was intelligent. So I always, because I saw her in the building all the time. So, I feel like, she was really my role model. And yeah, so there kind of is really emotional for me, because I remember when I heard about Sorina's passing from Twitter, actually, I was actually closed the door, my office door. I stayed there, cried for like half an hour. So yeah, so later on also Sorina and I, so yeah, we did a grant application and the collaborators. So for which Sorina was the leading PI. So she was always like she working hard, and also she was very effective on grant writer. So she was able to put together like multi-state grant quickly. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there are a lot of I remember Serena a lot. So back in the time in BTI. Yes. Yeah, miss you, Serena. So rest in peace. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Karen.
Hi, I'm Carrie Vance. Sorina was really kind of the first person I came here to Mississippi State with. She and I came in the same time in 2015. We were both new faculty in the department. We were at faculty new orientation, and I had heard so much about her before meeting her. I had heard from people who are currently now up in upper administration about this fantastic researcher who is proposing CRISPR work and all kinds of wonderful, exciting things. And at the time I was intimidated, and I met her and she was just so down to earth, and it felt like a sisterhood thing when we were meeting, and hey, we're in the department together. And then she told me that, oh, she was going to be teaching biochemistry 1. And I was like, oh dear, wow, some, multiple, this is an 80 to 120 person class. I was like, that is amazing. Is there anything I can help with? Because it just seems like such an overwhelming, massive force for someone just starting to come on. So I knew that she had this fantastic reputation for going to be successful in research. And then I was like, well, they must really think something special because they just gave her the biggest class in the department. And she went head in, cheering all those students. I would advise them, and they would come back about how they loved her as her Biochem 1 teacher. And this went on for years. And one of the other things that was an exceptionally promising aspect about her entire career is, we talk all about her science and her wonderful mentorship and stuff, but it extended to students that she only had for 1 semester. And these were junior and seniors, and they loved her. And I would watch her video recordings, and I sometimes went to her classes so that I could, learn from her as a teacher. She employed new ways of learning and interaction with the students, and they loved it. She spoke beautifully. She was just an inspiration to them. And with all of that, she was managing the biggest class in the department. And that's amazing because she did it with such grace. She did it with such power and confidence. And I asked her several times, hey, you want to switch out or something like that? Well, she said, no. She wasn't going to give that up. And granted, we had other people that were coming in, and yes, we did partition that class out because it just kept growing. There was a massive growth spurt with we have 500 students, so let's just say it like that. And she was still managing that massive section, and we brought in others that were fantastic as well, and the educational outreach that we all had for students across the board, and so many of them, the promising aspects that she had. But she took that big one. She refused to give that big one up. And for someone who was so focused on research and so great at it, she was a great teacher too. And she was nominated for teaching awards. I remember writing letters and talking about how she incorporated new technology and had ideas and stuff, and how the students loved that. So I just wanted to round out her whole career in that regard: research, service, and teaching. She was a wonderful person, a beautiful contribution to our department, and we will sorely miss her.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay. Come on.
Hello everyone, I am Rizwana. I'm still working as a PhD student in Dr. Sorina's lab. I started her lab in 2020. It was a new country for me. It was a transition period for me. I was very nervous when I started her lab. But she was there for me every time. Every time we work in the lab, it is almost 5 p.m. in the evening. She visited her lab and asked all of us, how is everything going? I still cannot believe that she is no more, because last year, it was in November, she was taking treatment, and it was a Thanksgiving period, and I was thinking to send her something that will make her really good. She was a plant lover, so I sent her an orchid through Dr. George so that she can feel better to see this flower. So, and this is the March, this is her birthday month. I was discussing with my husband that when she will come back in our lab, we'll plan something amazing to surprise her. But I'm still working on her, one of the dream project, and hopefully I will able to give something from my side. And she is one of the most loving person I will ever remember in my life. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'd like to go ahead and just wrap this up. Main thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank our international audience that have joined us from all around the world, and have provided such wonderful insight into Sorina as a scientist and as an individual. I'd also like to thank all of you here in Starkville that came here. I know there's a lot of things to do on a Friday, a lot of stuff that needs to get done, but this is an event that I'm so glad that you could attend. And with that, we've got lots of food. If you feel like taking a tray of cookies with you, please do, because I think we're going to have a lot of leftover food. So thanks again, and take care.
That's my